Broadcasting live from the Canopy Vista on the plain of Zendikar. This is TapTapConcede. Welcome to TapTapConcede, where today we'll be discussing the Magic the Gathering Community Cup and our various roles of being involved with it. Because we were actually all on location, the three of us, which is fun.
Yeah,
exciting. It was a heck of an event. Really pleased with how it turned out, and we'll tell you all about that. But first, we're going to crack a pack. Cam,
right. I'll consult the die.
Hurl it. Nine. 2, 4, 6, 8. What is this? Oh, snap.
Oh.
This was given to us by IMAT, a.k.a. Christian, who came up to visit us. He was actually one of our Kickstarter producers. And he brought his cube up, which I previously, on the podcast, besmirched the cube by saying that he had proxies of the Power 9. That is false. They were collector's edition copies of the Power 9, which means they're not technically legal for tournament play, but it's a cube, so who cares? And we got to draft the powered cube, and that was sweet. But this is a Japanese, correct?
Correct, yes.
Portal 3 Kingdoms. So it's not, which I forgot that they printed them in Japanese, but I'm looking at the characters, and I'm like, this is just Japanese. So the English ones are the ones that are the most rare,
right?
Because they printed this was something they printed primarily for the Chinese market, and to an extent Japanese as well, but to try and get China interested. And so this is all sort of like based on Chinese mythology and stuff. But there's some stuff in here that's some pretty spicy stuff could come up, or we could just have 18 things with horsemanship.
I was just going to ask.
Come on, Imperial Seal.
That's like my favorite ability, by the way. Just the name
horsemanship.
Horsemanship. It's very much like. Is it more like flying or more like shadow? It's basically creatures with horsemanship. I think it's more like shadow, right? Like if you have horsemanship, you can only be blocked by other creatures with horsemanship. I could be wrong.
I know that the tale of the horsemanship is very important in Asian myth.
So unfortunately, because I don't know this set very well at all, we're going to have to go by collector's number here. Now, do these have rarity symbols?
By the way, yes. Horsemanship, creature cannot be blocked except by creatures with horsemanship.
All right.
And the ruling, despite similarities between horsemanship and flying, horsemanship does not interact with flying or reach.
All right.
Huh.
So I just jumped right to the back of the pack because we have plains and a forest.
Ooh.
And they're very nice.
Nice.
For white bordered lands. All right. So collector's number 122. This is a red, we're going to say sorcery because it's portal, and I think they were all sorceries.
Right.
For, 122 of P3K. This is definitely not Rolling Earthquake. 122 of 180. It is casts for 2 and a red. I'd be very excited about Rolling Earthquake because that's a non-insignificant amount of
value.
It's 122.
Ruh-roh.
Weird. This will be interesting to muddle through. It looks like this. It's 3 guys with like stuff falling on them.
2 and a red.
There
we go.
Oh, Stone Rain.
Oh, awesome.
Apparently 123.
Uh-oh.
Maybe they're just off by 1.
Okay, well, let's test that next time. Stone Rain, 2 and a red, sorcery, destroy any one land. I love that this is old templating, or before modern templating, so instead of destroy target land, it's destroy any one land. Next up, so I have this as collector's number 149, which if we're one lower, you would have as 150.
It is a creature.
Okay, let's try 149. Taoist Hermit, interesting. Yeah, that's correct. This is the Stalking Tiger. All right, doesn't make sense to me, but here we are. Stalking Tiger is a 3/3 for 3 and a green, and it can't be blocked by more than one creature each turn. So you can't double block the Stalking Tiger.
That seems fine.
which also, the best part about this is that then it led to, I think it was last year's holiday card,
Oh, yeah.
the Stalking
Stalking
Tiger.
Tiger.
Yes, Stocking.
Yeah, exactly. I don't actually remember what Stalking Tiger does, but Stalking Tiger does this.
Stalking
Tiger.
Stalking.
You trying to find Stalking Tiger? Really? That's weird. Sorry, Paul's trying to find it, and it's not on the site we usually use. We usually use a little bit of behind the because this episode's all about behind the scenes knowledge. There it is. So it's a 3/3 for 5. Enters the battlefield with a sealed magic booster under it. When it deals combat damage to a player, unwrap the booster and put it into your hand.
Rad.
We're doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff this week, so I may as well tell you. We use magiccards.info to pull the card images up, only because the way that the images are cropped looks better on screen than if we pull from Gatherer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, because Gatherer has actual, like, not
it's the way that
not transparencies, but it's got white corners.
it's the way the corners are done, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
fun fact, actually, DuckDuckGo provides direct access to magiccards.info by
Really?
doing a bang MTG and then the card name in the in your search box or address bar.
Huh.
So
All right, next up, collector's number 20. It is a 2/2 creature for 2 and a white. And it is named
something
Thing.
of something.
Shoe Defender.
Shoe Defender. It is a 2/2 for 2 and a white creature soldier. When Shoe Defender blocks, it gets +0/+2 until end of turn.
That's not even bad.
No, it seems fine. No, these cards are not bad.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, when you start with the Stone Rain.
Yeah, exactly. Collector's number 81. This is this another sorcery? It looks like it. Yep.
Yes, it is.
Got the same characters there. It's a single black mana for Return to Battle. Return any one creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a Disentomb.
Or Disentomb, yes.
Yeah.
That's
Swallowing his eye.
The valiant Xiao Hu Dun fought on, but Cao Cao's vanguard, its commander wounded, could not hold out for long.
So I know he lost an eye. And you can see there he's got the bandage. He swallowed it? I don't know much about Chinese historical legend. But here we are. All right, collector's number 58. This is a 2/3 for 3 and a blue with horsemanship. And it's the Wu Elite Cavalry. And that's it. It's a 2/3 with horsemanship, which seems fine.
A little expensive for like a Scrapskin Drake equivalent, but...
Oh, here we go. At the second battle of... And apologies for our anglicized pronunciation of these Chinese names. The second battle of Rushu, the brave Wu general Gan Ning raided Cao Cao's camp of 400,000 men with only 100 cavalry, and not a single man or a horse was lost.
Wow,
That's
wrecked.
that's
Yeah, hashtag wrecked. The next up is collector's number 155. It is a 2/2 for 2 and a green. It's a cheetah, it looks like. That is not it. Try 156, I guess.
Cheetahs
Curious
are
to know
not
why these are different. Trained
jackals.
cheetah, in fact, as you can see by the fact that it's got a little collar. When trained cheetah attacks and is blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, was that Rampage
Yes, I think.
or Bushido or?
Bushido...
Because Rampage was
Yeah.
like Rampage 2. It gets +2/+2. Rampage 3 was it gets +3/+3.
I think
but
Rampage
that was
for each blocking.
and it happened to each blocking creature, right? This is just if it's blocked, it gets +1/+1. So that's also a fine card. All right, this is like a legendary creature. Number 1. If they somehow mess this up, maybe this will explain what the problem is. Alert Shoe Infantry. It is not a legendary creature. I'm sorry. So it's a 2/2 for 2 and a white. Creature soldier. Attacking does not cause Alert Shoe Infantry to tap. So it's a 2/2
Vigilance.
with Vigilance.
Also seems fine.
Yeah. And our rare... Well, it's not one I recognize, so that's kind of a bummer. Collector's number 108. This man has many chins and is happy with his sword. It is...
That's the dude.
Dongzhu the Tyrant.
Huh.
Oh. Paul's making noises. Is this one worth a lot?
So I don't know whether the prices here are for. I see the price for English and the price for Chinese. I don't see any price for
Japanese?
Japanese. The price for English near mint is $150.
Whoa.
So
I'm going to put this down.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you to whoever gave us that.
That was Christian. Thank
yeah.
you for that. So let's
Thank
talk
you,
about
Armad.
what Dongzhu the Tyrant does real quick. 4 and a red for a 3/3. When Dongzhu comes into play, choose one of your opponent's creatures. That creature deals damage to him or her equal to its power.
Seems really
Yeah.
good.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
that actually
I mean,
seems totally fine.
it's not. It only happens once, and then it's just a 3/3. So it's not like it's astounding, but
I don't
sweet.
know. Sometimes you get to like just fireball and get a 3/3.
As a commander,
Right,
he
like if you
seems
hit a 4.
interesting.
Yeah, if you
If you hit like a 4 power creature on turn 5.
yeah, a little lava axe, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, there you go. That's a better thing.
Yeah, it's a lava axe with a 3/3 stapled on.
Sure, why not? I'll take it. All right, well, Dongzhu the Tyrant with his many chins and happy sword. Well, we'll have to see what that's worth in Japanese. That'll go in the Crack-a-Pack box. Baller.
Get
So,
the sleeve.
Get the sleeve.
Okay, so I'm just a sec here.
Are Japanese cards just worth nothing?
No. I'm looking at there's
We'll put a sleeve on this.
TCG player price guide.
Uh-huh.
Up until March 12th, it was worth $36.
Okay.
On March 31st, it was worth $400.
Okay.
And then June 28th, it dropped down to where it is now. So I don't know
I
what
think
the
that-
hell just happened.
No, what that is that there is such limited availability of this card that as individual cards come onto the market, the price fluctuates.
Neat.
Like
All right.
that was pointed out to me about the Alpha Shivan Dragon when that what was it, Scry or Duelist article was going around, where it was just a couple of weeks ago where it showed the price of various Alpha and Beta cards from like 1993. And it was like Shivan Dragon, $45. Black Lotus, $25. Right? And people were like, man, you got to feel bad for the guy who traded 2 Lotuses for a Shivan Dragon. And somebody was like, Alpha Shivan Dragon's still worth $1,500.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Can't be that bad.
yeah. But that was also, they were showing the price fluctuations of Shivan Dragon as like the one near mint Shivan Dragon in the world gets sold and bought and becomes available.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone wants a Dongzhu, well, actually, I don't know what we're doing with this Crack-a-Pack box yet, so we'll have to find out. But recently, in Seattle, or in Renton, actually, there was the Magic the Gathering Community Cup. Now, it used to be the Magic Online Community Cup, but their focus has shifted to all of Magic, even though it's mostly still done with using Magic Online. But basically, if you're not familiar with this event, Wizards brings 8 members of the sort of Magic community, sort of like higher profile members, typically content creators, podcasters, pros who are sort of like more publicly known, and they bring them to Renton and they fight with cards against Wizards of the Coast for the
Community Cup.
the honor of being the winners of the Freeburg Cup, the Community Cup.
It's a nice cup.
Yeah, a little dusty on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I wouldn't drink out of it.
Nope.
A team did. I wouldn't.
Yeah, no. That team is,
Yeah, they're all dead now.
yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah. No, they're fine. I was in the cup in 2011, not in the physical cup. I was invited to participate
Don't drink out of that cup either.
in the Community Cup in 2011 on a team that included, among others, Marshall and Louis Scott Vargas, which was a fun team. Let me tell you.
How'd you guys do?
We crushed that one. There you go. It was around Scars Block. We we got to draft Scars. We had a standard deck. It was also the introduction of modern, so we had to build modern decks. Or I might actually be confusing that with the following year. I'm not sure. Because then they asked James down the following year, and it didn't go as well for that team.
Didn't do as well.
No, they didn't. They lost, which is possible. The Wizards team has won twice. Once like way back before this was formalized as a thing, and then once the year that James it was James and Conley and John Laux were on the team, which is great because Marshall and I get to constantly remind James and John Laux respectively that of course
that they lost.
That they lost.
It is definitely not a fixed event. This is this is actual battle.
Yeah, I mean, like it'd be. I guess it would suck if the Wizards team did win just from like a. I guess it might look bad, but I don't know. I think next year might be their time.
Yep.
Because this one was very close, and let me tell you, the Wizards team is competitive. They were not. They were not pulling their punches.
No, they definitely were not.
And it was very tight. But anyway, Wizards approached us a while back, and
in the days of yore,
in aught 15,
the days of my what?
About a month and a half ago, Wizards got a hold of us, and between the Pro Tour Magic Origins and PAX, they didn't have enough bandwidth internally, basically, to help manage this event, and they asked Loading Ready Run if we could come on and basically be in charge of coverage, which was a neat idea because we had some small, some big improvements we wanted to make, but some small ones that we wanted to make that we were able to sort of actually enact on in the time available. If they bring us back next year, maybe things will be very different. Who knows? That's not what we're telling you. Right now we're telling you about what we did at the Community Cup this year, which was really cool. I was sort of acting as executive producer, basically, of the coverage, which for this event, more than other events, meant that Loading Ready Run could have greater input into what the event was going to be. Because when we're discussing Iron Root Chef, and people be like, well, what about this? And I'd be like, well, it would look way better for coverage if we did it this way. So what about this idea? And we could sort of, play back and forth like that. While we, as you saw, if you watched it, while we still had the same on-camera coverage people, and
because they're good.
And we still had. If you're aware of him, Rashad running the actual video switcher, the guy who usually does the graphics also couldn't be there that weekend. So we brought in Ian to operate the graphics, and he can tell you all about that. And we brought in Cam to run a camera that Marshall, I believe, actually called the Cam, which was the floor camera with Tim Willoughby being sort of the interviewer. And boy,
you got to watch me learn how to operate a camera in real time. No, it's. Yeah.
It's luckily their camera was the same as our camera.
Yeah,
so it worked out okay. But there was 2 full days of setup that we tore down in like an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, Sunday night,
as is usually the case. I got to see their warehouse.
Really?
That's fun. Ooh. Yeah, where they store stuff, just things everywhere.
Where they keep all the beta block?
Yeah, so that's why we've been just drafting beta lately.
I don't think they actually have I don't think it's their I don't think it's where they do deep storage of valuable cards.
Right.
But they have banners from 12 Pro Tours ago that it's what do we do with this? I don't know, roll it up, put it in a box, put it in the warehouse.
Might be useful.
Right. And so this, I got to basically root through it and be this graphic, we'll take this backdrop, cool. What's this? A tripod? Great. Yeah. So, Undiscovered Paradise. It's not as exciting as it sounds. It's definitely just a warehouse that had all the hedrons and tentacles and stuff hanging around from PAX. But
you did need a forklift.
Well, we did because they had one of the things I wanted to change was lighting. I wanted to get better lighting on the booth and better lighting on the cards so that there wasn't weird shadows on the because part of it was we were doing 3 events on Magic Online, but one of the events was live. We were doing a real life on paper Battle for Zendikar sealed. and I wanted to avoid, just because we were shooting this in a space at Wizards headquarters, and so it's an office and there's just like normal fluorescent lights, and I wanted to avoid having because you have to have a truss up over the feature match area to hold the camera to be pointing down at the table. And sometimes you can see the shadow of that. So I wanted to have lights for there, and lights to light the players, and lights to light the booth and everything. And they had some lights, but they were like on a pallet wrapped in saran wrap on the 4th level in the warehouse. And so we had to be like, hey, where'd you guys put these lights? And they went, oh
Away.
I think they're up there. Hang on. Let me get the forklift and move these crates from Boeing out of the way, and then go and get these lights. But what was okay? Ian,
Yeah.
what was your sort of procedure?
Oh, my procedure was very interesting, the way that they do their graphics there. So I got sat down in front of a PC and said, hey, you're going to be our graphics guy. Here's 4 different decks of graphics that we'd like to use, and Rashad is going to stitch these in through the TriCaster to be either overlays or lower thirds or banners or what have you. And your job is to not only keep up with the coverage people in terms of what slides and what scoreboards need to go up, but also set the pace sometimes, which was not what I was expecting.
No, when I did, because I've previously been on coverage for the Community Cup in the past couple of years, and I did not expect that last year when we were going through the draft stipulations. I was there with Marshall and we were talking, and then the slide would change. We'd be like, oh, I got to move on. Be like,
It's
catch up.
Really interesting that the way these pros work.
Yeah,
Like,
so
they see something, and they just go and they keep talking, and they can keep talking about whatever they're looking at or whatever's going on until
and they can
it changes.
transition from one to another very, very smoothly.
Yeah.
This is actually our in-booth coverage. It was, of course, Marshall Sutcliffe from Limited Resources, Brian David Marshall, who is on coverage all the time, and the Pro Tour historian also, and Matt Tabak, who is new to coverage, is actually the rules manager. Was very nervous about it, and
he's super good
did a
at this.
fantastic job because he's just generally gregarious and funny. He was the guy doing basically the wrestling announcing for the Eldrazi fight at PAX, which was very entertaining. But yeah, so you're there with a laptop that's sending an output. Is basically you're just sort of screen sharing
Exactly.
to the video mixer as like one other camera source that the video mixer has, and so Rashad can cut to what is basically your second monitor
and live updating things as we go along.
Yeah, so the score at the bottom of the screen, like the main score for like community team this, Wizards team this, that's on the floor while the event is happening. The people actually running the tournament, which was Charles Rapkin and Lee Sharp, as the results are coming in, they're updating a spreadsheet with like, this is who won this round, this is how many points they get for that, so the overall points for Wizards and community team is this, and they're updating the spreadsheet. And then in the coverage room,
I'm keeping one eye on the spreadsheet and one eye on the camera and one eye on what Rashad's going to be going to next, trying to say, okay, do I have time to update this score before we switch to this?
Yeah.
Because I have to make sure that the slides are ready to go when he needs to switch to them.
especially when they need to be like, let's just check in with the scores. You have to be like,
Score time. The fun one, though, was during that paper draft.
Yeah.
Or the sealed tournament. Because for 2 reasons. First off, for the score, the life totals. Because the preview monitors that we had were just too small for me to be able to see what was. I could see that a card was being played and that it was being tapped, and that was about it.
From Ian's seat, he didn't have a good eye on the big preview monitor that the people in the booth were using. Also, the set had only been spoiled
So
the day before.
nobody knew. In the booth, everyone has these manuals from the fatbacks just flipping wildly between the pages.
And so there's no possible way that Ian could ever be expected to keep up with what is actually happening in terms of what he needs to display.
So thank God we had Tim Willoughby on the floor.
Yeah, so
in my ear.
He's on the floor on a walkie-talkie. And because it's public information, anytime the game state changes, he would be like, Kenji 20, Melissa 18.
And I intern that information.
And just like... So,
At the same time, though,
oh right,
we, for various reasons, we didn't have the images of the cards
yes.
to display on screen when talking about them.
This is something that we had planned to do, and wasn't able to actually get it going in the 2 days of setup. And so just before the event, I'm like, and we have the card images, and then we're like, no, we don't. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So how did you get around this?
Well, as you started rubbing your temples, walking out the door, I am jumping over to the Wizards preview page, the spoilers, and downloaded every card, double-clicking on the name, pasting it into the name, saving it to a folder on the desktop. It took me about 20 minutes, and then when I would hear cards come in that people would talk about, I would make a special trip to another page just to grab that card and download it so that Rashad had a chance to pull it up on the video.
Yeah, so if you... I believe they're planning on putting the whole thing up on their YouTube channel. If you watched the coverage of the live sealed event,
For the first two
you'll
first
notice
game.
that the card images come in partway through the first of 3 matches, and that's because during that like 15-20 minute period, Ian is downloading the card images. And so you might be thinking to yourself, that seems really stupid. You're literally in the Wizards building. Why can't you do this? This is a Saturday. Everyone's gone home.
Nobody's
We don't
there.
have access to upstairs, and certainly not to someone who can just give us the full card image gallery, which was, again, it was something that we planned to do on Thursday and Friday when there was people around, and for various reasons it didn't end up happening. And so Ian's like, all right, you know what? We have a guerrilla solution. We're gonna do this, and it worked. It worked really well, and we were able to get card images there, to have on screen, which was really helpful for the people watching at home. Because even for people watching at home, it was new cards. Despite what people in the chat, might have you believe that they know everything backwards and forwards already, even though it's only been 24 hours. So it uncanny speed. Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
My experience in hacking things together at Desert Bus is proven well useful.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say it's I'm sorry that I didn't know you guys were having that problem, because of other things we've done, I already have like a little script that I've written to do that, to pull all the cards from Gather or Magic-Cards.info to get the card art.
No, I
Just
would
like a JavaScript.
If
or-
Ian had another like half hour, he probably would have written a script to do
exactly.
that.
But by the way, while I was pulling up the cards and downloading them,
He's still going to do all the other stuff.
I've still got to be listening for life totals and making sure that the scoreboard's updated. So there wasn't time for programming in between these other two things.
Oh goodness. Cam had probably a less stressful job.
Oh yeah, it was sweet.
Well,
but basically, yeah.
physically, you were.
Oh yeah, I was
always
run off
on.
my ass. But basically, I would just take the camera, I would point it at a thing and focus the camera and adjust the lighting on it, and then whatever the camera was looking at would go into a tube that would go into the room, and then it stopped being my problem.
Basically,
So that was my job.
one of the things I really, really, really wanted to improve with the coverage this year was getting more of the community members on camera. Because the point of like any other Magic event, it's you're mostly interested in the gameplay. The fact that there's pros you might recognize and think are cool is great, but largely secondary to the fact that you're watching Magic be played at its highest levels. At the Community Cup, it's more about the people who are there. This year's team, by the way, was Kenji Egashira, Numa Danami, who's a very, very popular streamer on Twitch, if you're not familiar with him. Megan and Maria from the Magic the Amateuring podcast, who are delightful. Yoel Larson, the recent Pro Tour champion, the most recent Pro Tour champion. He won Pro Tour Magic Origins over here in Vancouver. Wedge from the Mana Source YouTube channel. Doc, who's another Magic streamer. He typically streams late night East Coast.
After he gets home from law school.
Yeah, at twitch.tv/sgdoc. Wait, hang on. There's more people. Help me out here.
Wedge?
No.
No, that was
Got it. No, lost it. This is embarrassing.
Wow, I just had the most.
Starts with an S.
Yep. I'm on the same one.
Really nice guy. talked about his kids.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. Jimmy Wong
Jimmy Wong.
from Rocket Jump, who does the Command Cast, the Command Zone podcast, and Video Game High School. It's funny, actually, because he had just been at the Streamies the night before, receiving the Streamy for Best Ensemble Cast for Video Game High School, and then flew in like the night before. So he arrived on the Friday night, or no, the Thursday night, because there was a thing all day on Friday. So he arrived Friday morning. That was it, because he'd been at the Streamies on Thursday night. Friday morning he was in, and he had to. They did like Tour of Wizards and stuff on Friday. Saturday thing, Sunday thing. Sunday night he was back to Los Angeles for a shoot on Monday morning. So he had a whirlwind tour.
Adam Staborski.
Oh, Stibbs.
That's the guy.
Stibbs, yeah.
The Stibbs.
I have no excuse. I had all their names in a list to
Adam, I'm
copy and
so
paste
sorry. That's so embarrassing.
Oh.
I'm sorry,
It's-
Stibbs.
it's early.
We've actually talked about Adam a lot on this podcast because James has his Popper Cube. He apart from being the content manager for Gathering Magic, and he writes the Command Tower article for Wizards, and he does text coverage at actual Wizards events. One of the things he's known for in the community is that he maintains, I think it's just called the Stibbs list or the Stibbs Cube. He has this cube list that he maintains for a Popper Cube, and he'll switch cards in and out as sets come out. And James actually has that cube mostly in foil, and it's super fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's a really vivid format.
I would like to get in on that.
it's great. So that was the team, and I can't remember where I was going with that. What was I talking about?
What are any of us talking about?
It was important for us to focus on the community.
Thank you.
Yes,
So,
camera work and yeah.
one of the main things I wanted to focus on was was having the people on camera more. And so there was a suggestion, because we've done Iron Root Chef for the previous many years, which is this constructed format where they get given a secret ingredient. It's like a cooking show. They have to build a deck out of this. And one of the suggestions was to get the ingredients ahead of time and build like over the weekend the night before. And there's two reasons I didn't like that. One was because then the community team, they don't get a chance to like relax and hang out. They have to be, anytime they're not on camera doing this, they're like worrying about this deck they're building. And that's a bad like user experience, I guess.
They were taking it seriously.
They
all
were.
weekend.
They would have been, right? So, so that was lame. And I actually had ideas for how to show it, because the concern from Wizards' side is like, how do we show this? If we want to give them an hour for deck building, what do we do with that? And I'm like, no.
No,
We have the floor camera, and we have someone talk to them and be like, what are you doing? What are you building? What's going on? And we did that during deck building for the first. For the stipulation draft, we did it during Iron Root Chef. We did it during the sealed. We did it during the actual Battle for Zendikar draft. We'd be saying to the booth, like I'd be in the booth on the radio and be like, Cam, because I was talking to Cam and Ian and Rashad and no, that was it. Be like, Cam, you and Tim set up for an interview with someone, maybe this person. Like sometimes I'd have a suggestion. Sometimes Tim would be like, let's talk to so and so, because they're out on the floor. They have a better idea of what's going on. And then they'd get it set up and radio back. We're set up. And then Rashad would tell the guys in the booth, yo, throw to an interview. And they'd be like, hey, we got an interview with Tim. And they'd cut down.
All the while, we've got to actually put it together graphics for that interview to happen.
Yeah, well, you need to be listening for who he has an interview with, so that you can get the lower third to be like Tim Willoughby and this person. And because we tended to keep, Rashad tended to keep Tim's lower third on the right-hand side, I think it was. And so he'd be looking at the preview. But before cutting to it, Rashad would be looking at the live preview of Cam's camera and be like, can you get Tim and Maria to switch places, because I already have Tim's lower third on the right-hand side. So I only have to change the other one, because then he doesn't have to retype Willoughby every time.
Which takes 5 to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the behind the scenes of this is certainly more complex than perhaps you might be aware.
I want to bring up one more thing on when we're still on Iron Root Chef here, as that was fun for me because due to technical constraints, number of plugs and whatnot, I didn't actually get to listen to anything from the floor. I got to see Tim interview a lot of people. I have no idea what was said.
Oh, no.
I heard everything that happened in the booth, but the one time I got to hear things from the floor was from Iron Root Chef because I had to update the scores
Right.
while you guys were
Right.
speaking your scores out.
So you had to use Rashad's headphones for
Yes, which were, by the way, also too short to reach my station. So I was hunched over the laptop, getting as close as I can with these wires sticking out straight in front of me, looking up, looking down to move my mouse to update scores very quickly.
So we're gonna have some improvements to make for next year.
Low-hanging fruit.
My favorite awkward thing was during the paper sealed feature match.
Yeah.
Trying to record people's hands because coverage needs that information.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm at the beginning of the game, looking over people's shoulders, trying to write down what's in their hands, which is hard when you have not seen any of these cards before, and the set was spoiled the previous morning. And you ask the player to show you their hand, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure."
Yeah,
And
you're
I'm
like,
no.
I need you to hold it there for a solid minute.
Yeah.
You were giving some advice on that too, weren't you?
Oh, well, actually, that led to the one comment that I got all weekend, which was, I think it was Robert Schuster, who was like, "Show me how you hold your pad when you're writing that down." I'm like, "Oh, like this." And he's like, here's a tip."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, this is, what you're doing right now is a level 2 judge kind of thing, but just keep the pad out of sight.
Yeah.
Also, it's good if you don't mouth the names of the cards as you're reading them. That would be an improvement over what's going on right now.
You did not.
But it was undo what?
I figured probably a lot easier just to actually take a picture of the hand next time.
Anyway,
Infinite Euro.
One of the other things you might have seen on the coverage, of course, was these little interviews that I did up, talking to the players, being like, "What do you think about this format? What do you think about this format?" And to do those, of course, to have them ready to start the day on Saturday. I filmed most of them on Thursday night, but as we mentioned, some people weren't coming in late, and some of them on Friday morning, and then edited them together during the day on Friday and Friday night, so that they would be ready to go for the morning. Because that's what they do at GPs. On some GPs, they'll actually they'll do their video because they don't start GP coverage until round 3, and so they'll show up at the very beginning and they'll spend the first 3 rounds doing content creation, which then someone goes away and edits live to go up on coverage later in the day, which is miserable. But the sort of thing that you can do if we have additional people, but we didn't. We just had the 3 of us. So I was editing stuff on the Friday to go on stream on the Saturday and the Sunday, and I did it in way the wrong order. I did the Iron Root Chef one first. I'm like, we don't need this till Sunday. Why am I so dumb?
Literally rendering them as we walked from the building back to the hotel.
Yes, I had just walked back holding my laptop open, carrying it while it rendered, just because I didn't want to lose any cycles on the thing. I'm trying to think of any other amusing stories from the weekend.
Late night drafts.
Yeah.
Were always good.
Yeah, that was fun. We actually got to draft Battle for Zendikar once because this was all run on an internal rack of computers that was not
connected to the main.
Yeah, it was not connected to the outside world, and it was not part of actual Magic Online because, of course, they had Battle for Zendikar cards.
And which I understand Lee had worked very hard to get working.
I'm sure. And so he was very keen for the community team when they were like, "Hey, can we draft to learn how to draft this format before we have to draft this format against the people who made it. And Lee was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." So we got to do one draft. It was fun.
Yeah.
I don't have any real impressions of it yet, except that I really like Retreat to Emeria. That's my favorite.
I got to try Magic online for the first
This
time.
is your first time playing Magic
yeah.
online.
It's challenging.
It is. It's difficult to learn.
My overall impressions of the format were the one-drop Eldrazi drones. Surprisingly useful. Really good for getting, like, even if they get, like, 2 damage in, just those 2 ingest triggers early on in the game are super helpful. Touch of the Void is a savage beating. Right?
Yes.
Like, the 3 damage for 3, exile the creature. Totally fine.
Similarly, Complete Disregard.
Oh,
is
yeah.
such a good card.
Yeah.
It's 2 and a black, just exile creature with power 3 or less. Yeah, I'd get my stuff killed by that all the time.
Yeah. And then I also got to play the, what is he? Not Kozilek's Chandler. Herald of Kozilek. The blue-red guy that makes things cost less. Colorless spells cost less.
Yes.
That guy's real.
That seems very strong.
Yeah. No, very happy with this set.
So that was like one night after coverage. The rest of the weekend was pretty packed. These were like,
Yeah.
this was like show up at 9 a.m., set up until
10:30.
10:30 p.m., and then do that again on the Friday, and then the coverage was 9 to like 7 Saturday and 9 to 7ish Sunday, and then Sunday night we had to tear everything down. But
And then the community team went to karaoke because they're monsters.
I don't know how they had the energy.
Yeah, no, kids these days.
I went back to the hotel and sat down.
Yeah. I just like trundled over to the bed and just yeah.
It was super fun though. I'm really pleased with how the coverage went. Josie, who was sort of organizing the event on the Wizards end of things, worked really hard as well.
Oh, yeah.
And she and I managed to make that area not look like the common room in an office building.
Yeah.
Which was my main goal for what that room needs it to look like. And we had all these giant graphics left over from packs that we were like zip tied to the sub ceiling. But
Coming in late for that, it looked like an event space.
yeah, it looked really good on
yeah,
camera.
And then
Yeah.
tearing it down afterwards, seeing what it actually looked like.
It was just any old random
You guys
office.
did a fantastic job getting that.
Really, really pleased with that. And
Yeah, but Josie was also a total hero over the
trooper.
weekend.
oh my goodness, yes, she was there like, well, she was certainly at least 2 of the days was there later than we were and in earlier than we were.
Well, and always there, just not there to have fun. She was having fun, but even during the relaxing portions, she was there on point.
And we had tons of viewers, and most importantly to me, actually, in terms of the actual people watching, was the Twitch chat room. I have never seen so friendly and supportive and just happy to be there having fun for a Magic event than it was for this. Presumably because the people who are like not into fun were just like, Community Cup, I don't want to watch that, which
Yeah.
is fine. There's other things for them at other times, but this was,
It's the one kind of like
just total goofball weekend of just like, hey, we're gonna do fun stuff, so come and hang out and be cool. And by and large, everyone in the chat was just like, having a great time, which was super fun.
So I blame that on you,
Yeah,
the viewer.
How dare you?
how dare you?
If anyone has any specific questions about like changes we made to the Iron Root Chef this year, or any other aspects of coverage, feel free to ask on Twitter at Graham_LRR, at iHorner,
At Unarmed Oracle.
Unarmed Oracle. Or I guess in the comments, though it's a little difficult to have a real like back and forth conversation in the YouTube comments, as you know, because YouTube comments. But yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of questions we haven't answered here, but would love to. Yeah, I think that at least gives you an overview into the behind the scenes of the Community Cup, and I hope they'll have us back next year because I have even more ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thread on the forums would also be a good place to
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize there was a thread. I will go check it out.
for TapTap.
Oh, the TapTap thread.
Yeah.
That is a
That
great
is
idea.
a-
For
Yeah,
this
that
episode.
seems like a
That's
really
exactly
good
what
place.
this is for.
I thought you meant there was a thread for the. Thank you, Paul. Yes, the thread for this very episode on the Loading Ready Run forums would also be a great place to hang out and chat. So, until next time, TapTapConcede is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, which supports not only this show but basically everything else that we do as well. So check it out. We appreciate it. And until next time, wait, I always do that. Until next time, we'll talk to you next time. No, that doesn't work. Goodbye.
Yeah. Until next time, toodles.
Till next time, see you again.